Welcome to another edition of Unconventional Playbook. The Minnesota Vikings have cut their roster down to the official 53. And you guys have seen the Batman movies. Whenever Metropolis needs Batman, they send the bat signal out in the sky. Well, we can't send the bat signal, but we gonna send the pat signal to come in and help us dissect this 53. Mr. Patrick Buchanan is in the house. Pat, what's going up, man?
Nothing much, man. Excited to just be here. Let's get another episode going. Listen, when we get down to 53, that means we ain't nothing but a couple of weeks away from the first game. So
that's right.
We getting there. It is getting there to kick off Monday for us. It's getting there, man. It's all around just around the corner. You know, the football season's here. You had 0 week last week for college. You got week 1 coming up with your Buckeyes against them Longhorns, right? So yeah, it's here, and I'm excited. I got a lot of things, I know you do as well, to touch on with the cuts that were made and just my observation overall about this.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some surprises, man, but let's go ahead and dissect this thing like people know that we can do. Let's start with the quarterback position, because there's been a lot of movement with the quarterback position. Obviously, Sam Howell getting jettisoned to the Philadelphia Eagles, and then we brought in an old veteran. You know, some people may be on one side of the fence that he's washed up, he's no good, he was arguably not what the NFL thought he was going to be in Carson Wentz. But there are a lot of people out there, Pat, that think he is a good, solid backup. I am on the side of the fence where I wasn't happy with Sam Howell. I like Max Brosmer, but I think the verdict is still out. Could he be a number 2 against, the number 1s in the NFL? So I think it was a great move by Kwesi just to bring in another insurance policy in Carson Wentz. I think it was a smart move. Doesn't mean that Max Brosmer can't eventually be the number 2, but I think that Carson Wentz was just an insurance policy for the Vikings. What do you think about the movement, getting rid of Sam Howell, bringing in Carson Wentz, and that whole deal, man?
I think there were so many multiple things with it, right? Carson Wentz, right? Former first-round pick, and
yep,
got it. I mean, bringing in a veteran was good. My veteran was on my list was Jameis Winston, and obviously you see they didn't cut him, so that was going to be a tough one. People kept floating out Kenny Pickett. I wasn't high on that. Hadn't played really in the preseason. I liked it for the sense that, number one, he's Josh McCown has coached him before, right, out at Philly, right? So there's familiarity there, and then he's been under McVay's system before, so his familiarity with the playbook. So those things right there, and he's had success in the league, right? And he's had success and failure. Once again, we're in the success-failure thing where you learn through experience, where that's a veteran that Max hasn't been through that. So being JJ and Max, he gets to help mentor them through, right? They may have the tools now that he doesn't have, but at the same sense, he gets to, coach them through a lot of stuff that they haven't gone through, that where he was a 2019 draft pick, right? Win 2025. That's 6 years in the league. That's 6 years is a lot more than 1 year, or 2 years, right? So he has a lot that I believe, like, you don't bring him in and have those conversations when they brought him in for that little tryout or whatnot at workout. So they know what they're doing. They always make the right moves, and to have those minds of Wes Phillips, KLC, and Josh McCown in that room, like, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, the one thing that gets me a little bit frustrated is I think whenever we bring in a player, especially at the quarterback position for the Minnesota Vikings, there's all this narrative behind it. Like, I think a lot of people think Carson Wentz is washed up. We brought in, Sam Darnold last year. There was a lot of critiques about Sam Darnold. But the one thing I think people miss on, Pat, and I don't know what you think about this, but the one thing I think people miss on with the Minnesota Vikings is that we have the quarterback whisperer. And so everybody that we have brought in under KOC has succeeded or surpassed their supposed talent level when they're under the tutelage of KOC. Bringing in a former high draft pick quarterback to back up JJ McCarthy, I don't think this is my expectation. I don't expect to see the same old Carson Wentz because he's got the quarterback whisperer in his ear. In a system that accentuates his skill set, he's going to get the right coaching. He's going to have the opportunity to go up against the best defense in the NFL every practice. So, like you said in a couple of podcasts, iron sharpens iron. He's going to get an opportunity. I'm not saying he's going to come in and revitalize his career because obviously this is JJ McCarthy's team, but he's definitely going to be put in a system where he can grow as a quarterback. Am I wrong about that? Do you see the same thing?
Oh, you're not how are you wrong about it? Like, they tried to do what they could with Sam, right? And there's
Yeah.
some things you just can't do. We haven't had a, like, terrible backup quarterback here ever, right? I don't expect to see Wentz on the field ever, right, this year, but, that's great to that's good, like, he will be able to help to get the number ones ready, right? Coming in there, or defense ready, and he'll be able to do some things. But it's the leadership, like the experience in the sense of leadership that he can bring when you got an undrafted in the end, someone who didn't play last year, right? So, no, KO, like in his time here, where have quarterbacks failed? Right? I mean, the ones that hit the field, where have they failed, right? Yeah, maybe you go a couple of games and like Dobbs could do no more or Mullins, but they had some games where they put W's, where it counted, you know, and then when they knew it was time to move on, they moved on. So I think they read the quarterbacks right, both of them. When you got two guys back there that have played quarterback in this league, I think that bodes well versus someone who hasn't.
Yeah. I was watching the Vocal Vike podcast. By the way, if you guys haven't checked out Vocal Vike, go and check out his podcast, the Purple Pocket Podcast. Rap had a guy on his show that made a really, really good point, and I hadn't really thought about it. But when you look at JJ McCarthy in terms of him being ready, I mean, he's only played one preseason game last year. That was one quarter, and he only played one quarter this year, and he missed all of practice last year. In your mind right now, are you confident that JJ McCarthy is ready for Monday Night Football prime time? I mean, man, it doesn't get any better than Monday night. It doesn't get any more pressure than Monday night. The whole nation's going to be watching against the Chicago Bears. Do you think JJ's ready?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think
100%.
he is too.
Yeah, I'm
I
I'm
think
not
he's ready to go.
that I'm not worried about. Like, you guys got to see a couple of things out there, some things at training camp. There's things that they ain't showing, right?
Yeah,
And there's get through training camp, get through it. We know we got XYZ. Let's run this vanilla stuff and let's see what we do, right? So I believe, the more work this offensive line is getting in versus that defensive line, that's going to help them, right? That's part of the iron sharpening iron. And the run game is going to be big for us, right? The, the two tight end personnel is going to help, right? They'll figure out this other wide receiver thing, right? Early on, yeah, like I said again, he's not going to throw 40 balls in the first three games, right? And
right.
people are like, oh, okay, OC loves to air it out, but he's smart, right? Sam Darnold, you could air the ball out, right?
Yeah,
Sam Darnold was a
yeah,
veteran in the league, and Sam Darnold has a rocket arm. And JJ has a rocket arm too, but I'm not going to drop that man back when I got that backfield back there and you want to run the football. So he'll be fine within it. Like I said, the defense will hold us down when Addison gets back. He'll be more in sync in doing things, but he'll be perfectly fine as a starting quarterback. Like, he has to go through it, right? I don't get how people question after a year of stuff or how you go through it. We could talk about a Hall of Famer right now, quarterback who led the NFL in interceptions in his rookie year. Do you remember that quarterback? Won two
man.
Super Bowls,
Yeah,
and that was Peyton Manning.
there you go. Yeah, yeah. I was going to say Peyton.
And I'm not trying to compare, but that's what I'm saying. Like, we jump so quick down these quarterbacks in these, people so much. Like, dude, that is the toughest position to play in any sport. any sport. And it takes a
Yep.
minute, right? It takes a
Yep.
minute, right? So, but I trust in the people around him and the organization they're not going to put that young man out on the field if he ain't ready. Don't you think they
No.
would have went out and did something if they knew he
Yeah,
wasn't
man.
ready?
Yeah, and here's the deal, Pat. They had a lot of options to bring other people in, and every time they were faced with that, they were like, "No, this is JJ's team. No, this is JJ's team." So KLC, in his credit, is good with me if he feels like JJ is ready to go. That's why I'm so confident. The body of work that I've seen from JJ McCarthy in the college game, even though he's had limited work in the NFL game, he's just a different kind of cat, man. Upstairs, he is just different. So if you look at a situation where most quarterbacks, especially rookies, would be overwhelmed in a Monday Night Football game at Soldier Field, I think he's going to have butterflies running out of the tunnel, but I expect that to go away during the course of the game because that's just who JJ McCarthy is, Pat. That's just the way he's wired, man.
Yeah, he's got a great mental makeup, and I love his mental makeup. So
Let's
he's
let
good
let's
to
go
go.
to the Yeah, let's go to the running backs. Obviously the quarterbacks, JJ McCarthy is going to be Carson Wentz, Max Brosmer. The running back room kind of surprised me in terms of who made it. Like Aaron Jones, yes, we expected him to make it. Jordan Mason, of course. And then the body of work that Xavier Scott did this preseason. I mean, people had him penciled in after the first preseason game, and he steadily put in work in the joint practices, steadily put in work in the preseason games. So I don't think anybody was surprised that he made the team. But the name of Ty Chandler, I think if you polled 100 people, 70% of them, maybe 80% of them had Ty Chandler being cut. Are you surprised that he's still on the roster?
I am, but then I start to analyze a lot of different things, right? And what I analyze is the uncertainty of special teams, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
where he can fit in. That's the uncertainty that we have with our return to game and the special teams. I think that's where his value comes in. It's not blocking, right? Yeah, he can bust off an explosive play here or there. But I think his special teams is what saved him this year. And they like the kid, they're not giving up on him, right? But I think for him, it's going to be special teams because I think for him, knowing what's on film and him in blocking, I don't think he was going to get picked up somewhere. Like he doesn't fit people's depth chart, what they have right now, and fit the type of running backs. And I think they'll find value within him, and hopefully that can be your niche, right? You really don't have to
Yep.
block, right? If you got to sit back there and catch a kickoff, right, and get us in the great field position, that's a whole different ball game, right? It's not like he doesn't put the ball on the ground, so necessarily. So I mean, you could be back there and kickoff return, right? So yeah, I am, but then I'm not when it comes to where we are with special teams. I feel like
Yeah.
if a Rondale Moore never got injured, I think Ty would be
Yeah.
out, right?
Yeah.
So that's and I still think he could be out if they go pick up something, right? And there's a name floating out there that just left Tampa Bay. That's a special teams guy and a wide receiver. So who knows?
Yeah, the 53-man roster as it is today may not be your 53 tomorrow. There's going to be a lot of people released, a lot of phone calls made, a lot of negotiations. I think, like you, I think the cut of Silas Bolden, the wide receiver from Texas, special team specialist, did not make the 53. And I thought, okay, this could possibly open the door for a Ty Chandler or another player out there. And I do see a direct correlation. The Rondale Moore injury, man, Pat. If you sit back and look at that injury, it's like there's been a domino effect from that injury right there, and it lets you know kind of. I mean, Rondale Moore wasn't an integral piece to the team, but I think he was a very important piece in terms of the expectation for the Minnesota Vikings and how they were going to use him. Once he got hurt, man, that wide receiver room became in flux. So now we're looking at going out and getting another wide receiver. It expected our special teams. It really affected our wide receiver number 3 position. I mean, Rondale Moore, I didn't see it at the time, but that injury really, really set the Vikings back a little bit, man.
Yeah, it set them back, but I really think, I mean, hopefully I believe they're gonna go and make a move. But I'm gonna
Yeah,
tell you something, like what Rondale Moore was doing and gonna do us when it came to special teams and right as a 3 or 4 wide receiver, whatever he was gonna be, because Naylor, his injury, but Naylor has taken a step back from the Naylor we saw last week. I just I have a young man who I really think is going to blow us away, right? And and I think Miles Price is about to be that guy,
woo,
right?
yeah,
And I really think he is going to be that guy that blows everyone away, not just special teams, but as
right,
a wide receiver as well.
yeah.
And a
He's a
wide receiver
playmaker.
that's getting on the field. Like he has something to him, coach. He got some little special wiggle to him, right? That I think that is just going to, like, oh, okay, that was sitting there, right? And remember, he was doing that with Max Brosmer. Think about what he could be doing with a JJ McCarthy, with Justin Jefferson and a TJ Hawkinson on the field with him, right?
Yeah,
So I
yep,
believe that is my wide receiver kept that is, I think is going to be high value to us.
yeah. Justin Jefferson, Jalen Naylor, of course, Jordan Addison, Tay Felton, Tim Jones, Miles Price. Not bad, for what they had to deal with. Are you surprised that Lucky Jackson wasn't on that list?
No, not at all. Lucky was so
Had a lot of drops,
inconsistent.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man,
he had a lot of
that
drops.
inconsistency, you know, you know who I did like though is Thomas though. Uh, I did like Tommy, little bitty wide receiver, Ty Thomas, but I really liked him. I know he was that bubble, but with them, they have they only got 5 active right now because the suspension list that Addison's on. That's where I think the opening of bringing in somebody else, and I believe maybe somebody else will be going off that list. I don't think it'll be Miles Price, right? It might be Tim, right? It might be Jones. So I don't know, but I think they left space and open for us just to bring in another wide receiver there. Ty Felton, like, he's a rookie, and I expect him to learn some things, but I hope he can catch on to things quicker than what we saw, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I'm gonna throw out 2 names. I'm gonna throw out 2 names to you. Uh, Adam Thielen, Jacoby Meyer. Okay, you can only pick one. Who you bringing in, Pat? Put your GM hat on right now, man. Who you bringing in?
Adam Thielen.
Why Adam Thielen?
Familiarity and cheaper, right? Familiarity and cheaper. I heard today that someone offered a trade but wanted the Raiders to take on some of that money. Well, they rejected the trade already when it came to Jacoby. So we not taking on $14 million. Adam Thielen is an $8 million. That's a difference of 6. No matter what people say, oh, we got this money, whatever. Jacoby Myers, the reason why he's in this situation because he wants a new contract. Well, why would we go get that if we not going to go get him a new contract when you got Addison, who you're about to have to pay, in another year? So that doesn't make sense to me in that sense. Do I think he's a great possession receiver where he at stage of his career? 100%, 100%. But there's just factors where I would take, like, if we took him, I'm like, that's nice. Like, that's nice. Yeah, yeah, big nut.
You
Like,
wouldn't be
I'd be
mad
like,
if
that's
they took him.
nice. Like, that is super nice if you could get him. But I think the route that I'm more comfortable with financially and compensation that you have to give up is Adam Thielen.
Yeah. See, I don't want to be safe, Pat. I look at this situation, man, where it is, for me, it's a 50-50 thing. And if you put a gun to my head and made me choose between the two, I'm going to pick Jacoby. And here's why. I think Adam Thielen is better because he knows the system. He's a culture guy. He's not going to come here and cause waves. He knows his place. And I honestly think you can get Adam Thielen for 2 years. I think you can have a good year with Adam Thielen. This year, I think Adam Thielen has enough left in the tank where you can get him for another year. So you've got your wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, wherever you want to put him, solidified for 4 years. Jakobi Meyer, 1,000-yard receiver. You add him with Jordan Addison, you add him with Jets, and a developing J.J. McCarthy with an inside production like T.J. Hawkinson, that opens that Super Bowl window big. Now, keep in mind, you already have the number one, and I feel confident in saying this, the number one defense in the league, or at least the number one front seven. Now you add another explosive piece to the offense this year, 2025, man, that is something else. I agree with you in terms of Jakobi Meyer is looking for the bag. But you can sell Jakobi on, look, come here and ball out under KOC's offense with all these different weapons, get some nice film, come in here and get some stats, possibly win a Super Bowl. You're not going to do that in Las Vegas. And then after the fact, you can go out and shop yourself. Because if you're asking me who to choose between him and Jordan Addison, I'm going to choose Jordan Addison in terms of a long contract for another receiver. But you can get Jakobi Meyer, man, if you sell it to him the right way on a 1-year rental with this offense. So I'm all in on that one,
So
Pat. I'm all in on that.
Here's my devil advocate to you, right? And
Okay.
I love it in Minnesota Vikings fans. I'm not trying to say nothing bad when I say what I'm saying. If this was next year, coach, right? If this was next year, right? 2026 season, I'd say you shoot at it because I believe that JJ's had his experience. We bringing everything back. Let's run it back. Let's get this. Like if it was next year, I'm saying shoot the shot. And take that 1-year rental. I don't know if he and this young man getting his first year, if that's the topper. It could be, but I know next year, a year of experience, especially with those young bucks too, in that rotation, which we're going to get to up front, some rookies, undrafted, whatever. I just think it goes like the level is going to rise next year compared to this year. Shoot your shot next year, not right now.
See, I thought about that, and I don't disagree with you at all when it comes to that. I think it's really astute the way you put it. My only problem with next year is that you're over the cap next year, which means this team is going to be completely different. Like they're going to have to make some tough decisions next year when it comes to that salary cap. This team right now, we know that it's bona fide to win, and they still got about 30 million, 31 million left in the cap. So they could do this. Like if they wanted to, they could bring in a guy like Jakobi Meyer on the wide receiver side, or go out and get a bona fide cornerback. Like they are hoarding this money, and I'm trying to figure out what what are they gonna do with it next year. Next year, I agree with you. I think J.J. McCarthy on the surface is going to be a better quarterback next year than he probably will be this year. Who knows? I just think they're going to have a little bit. It's not dire, but they're going to have a little bit of salary cap issues next year that they're going to have to figure out. There's going to be some cuts that's probably going to surprise some people. Man, they got to strike while the iron is hot, and I just like that Jakobi is out there, and I'm begging Kwesi Adofo-Mensah to get that one done. I'm begging,
if he gets it done when Jordan Addison get back, that is, you don't want to see that. You don't want to see that. Like you don't we can go in the 3 wide receiver set with our tight end and run the ball because you cannot bring and you can't go super heavy of a defensive front. Like you can go and now that opens up for Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason, right? I think it opens up a lot of different things if you went that route. Don't get me wrong. That some people they ain't gonna sleep. Well, the first 3 games, they're gonna be like, oh man, we got blessed, right? But after that, they're gonna be like, man, we got to deal with this, right? Now that's a hellified number 3, right? When Addison comes back, that's a hellified number 2, who is already a number 1, right? That's a bona fide pull if he does it, right? But at 1-year rental, bona fide pull, going to do I think he would come play and not ask for the extension? Yeah, because he's about to play on a very good team, right?
Yeah.
So, but
I'm just thinking. Oh, go ahead.
I'm just the Adam fan, man. I want the man to be
Yeah.
back at home.
Yeah, I hear you, man. And I think a lot of Minnesota Vikings feel that way. Skull Nation, Purple Gang out there. A lot of people have that emotion, and I have that emotion too. But man, when a guy like Jacoby Meyer is out there, I gotta put it aside because I'm trying to figure out if I'm a defense, there is no more bracketing Justin Jefferson. I mean, you got some issues to deal with along with that running game. I'm just trying to find a way to get to that Super Bowl, man. And I think that with our defense, you start adding pieces like that to our offense, man. Oh my gosh. I think these defensive coordinators are going to have some major issues. Let's let's look at this defensive line, man. The defensive line, you got Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave, Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, Jalen Redmond, LDR, Levi Drake Rodriguez, and the rookie who's been opening a lot of eyes is Elijah Williams. That's a pretty good defensive line, man.
That's a pretty good defensive line, but here's like the part that people how to feel about Phillips. Well, you saving some money right here, but your youthness, up front, right? You got two vets to go with four youthful players. Just think about that. You got two stud vets to go with four youthful little pennies money that we are paying them to really be like you got two undrafteds up there, right?
Yeah.
Um, I believe that they are hogs up there. Like that is still without Harrison Phillips. If you think about Redmond and Rodriguez and Dawkins and Williams, like if you think about that with Hargrave and Allen, you don't want to see that. Like those are hogs up front. You don't want to see that. Those are guys that are going to get after it. You just don't want to see that. So I thought I knew that that's what it was when the worry was before the trade, what they gonna do? Are they gonna keep seven? Right? Because they had seven with Phillips. I mean, it was I believe they had to make the move for this and they gained something out of it, right? They lost a great leader and he was fantastic while he was here. Go lead them young Jets over there with his new head coach. That'll help Aaron Glenn a lot over there. But we had to, and the Hogs up front doesn't change that front seven at all. Phillips gone does not change the front seven at all. That is what I know for sure.
Yeah, I talked to a lot of people, and I was kind of surprised that a lot of people fell on the Harrison Phillips move was a salary cap move, kind of like a salary dump. They had to move him out. I think that was kind of part of it. I just don't think it was a huge part of it. There were some dogs behind Harrison Phillips, and there were some players behind Harrison Phillips that B-Flow wants to get on the field, and I just don't think for the price that Harrison Phillips was garnering from the Minnesota Vikings, I think he became expendable. Like he wasn't worth the price. Harrison Phillips is a good player, but he was pretty much a run stopper. And I think B-Flow, if you ask him, he wants to have those combo guys up front that can stop the run. But on the other side of it, he wants really good pass rushers. And he especially wants that pass rush right up the middle. And I think he wasn't necessarily getting that from Harrison Phillips. That's why they pretty much got him out of here. But when I look at that defensive line now and throwing no shade on Harrison Phillips because he was a heck of a leader in that locker room, like you just said, and a really, really good player. But now the dogs that you got up front, and we haven't even talked about the edge rushers and the linebackers yet. Combined with that, man, this defense is going to be stout up front, Pat. They're going to be stout.
Yeah, they just when you talk about that, the first two levels of the defense, that's a special unit there, all led by what's happening up front. And I just think, if you look at the recipe for last year's Super Bowl champs, they didn't have to blitz that much, right? They were able to put the pressure on with four. And even like our offensive line was horrible, but the Rams were able to do it the same way with us, right?
Yeah.
And the teams that are successful are the ones that don't have to do that, right? Beefalo's still gonna send some exotic stuff at you, but his rate doesn't have to be as high because it's tough to block those guys up front.
Yeah, he was at what, like 50, at least close to a 50% blitz rate last year. Like you said, he's not going to have to do that this year. Like we haven't even talked about the edge rushers, but when you look at the three-headed monster, it's what I call them, and Van Ginkel, Grenard, and then you got Turner, you add that to that defensive line. I think edge rushers are in their own different category. That accentuates that defensive line. Those three are going to be tough, and I think they're the best three in the league.
Hands down, they're the best three in the league. I'm I'm kind of, when we get into it, and they kept five of them, right? With those three and Chaz and Bo, right? I was, not that I'm throwing at Chaz. I'm hoping that Murphy comes back on the practice squad, right? Um,
Yeah.
I really, really, really do. Hopefully they had some confidence that he would or something to come back and join the practice squad. I just think that he had high potential, but in the same sense, it was gonna be tough for him to get on the field.
It's gonna be tough.
Like
It's gonna be
it was
tough, man.
because
It's gonna be
it's
tough.
gonna be tough for Chaz and Bo to get on that field as well. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be super tough. But Gabe was my big shock, right? Because I think he had a
Yeah.
pretty good. Yeah, he had some bonehead, missed assignments that you could clearly see on film.
Yeah.
But I think that he played well coming off an injury that he had from last year. So
Yep.
that's that's my that's my take. But we didn't Bo deserves to be on that, that edge rusher room, and Chaz, the coaches kept him. They believe that he did. He played well, right? I just saw more out of Gabe. That's all.
Yeah, yeah. And then you look at the inside linebackers, of course, there's Blake Cashman, Ivan Pace Jr., Eric Wilson. I think Eric Wilson's going to have a good year, man. That's kind of an under the radar type signing. Obviously, he was here before, come from the Green Bay Packers, man. I think that's a solid inside linebacker pickup. Then you got my guy Kobe King, who really didn't show like I thought he would show during the preseason and the joint practices. I think he's going to get better. I just don't think he's really, really great in coverage. I expected for him to be a little bit more athletic than what I saw in person and what I've seen in the preseason game. I think he's kind of acclimating to the pro game instead of that college game. I expect for him to get better, but then you also have Austin Keys and like you said, man, Gabriel Murphy was the one that just shocked me. Hopefully, I'm with you. I think the guy has great potential, and hopefully the Vikings bring him back on the practice squad. I think they have every intention to bring him back, but you never know how that practice squad goes, man, because teams can come in and swoop up players, and he's the type of player that if I was another organization out there looking for an upside linebacker, I would definitely bring in. Um, I would definitely bring him in. If you look at Pat, the cornerback room, we got Byron Murphy here. Here's everybody's talking about the wide receiver room. I think the cornerback room needs some help as well. Like I'm hoping they, with all the cuts being had, maybe there's somebody out there floating around that could come in here and help. We just traded Mekhi Blackman to the Colts, so that's another talent that's kind of gone out the door. But we got Byron Murphy, we got Isaiah Rodgers, Jeff Okuda, who was dinged up, but has had a pretty solid mini camp. And then we got Nudie McGlothern. Like, is there another player out there that you would like to see them pick up? Or do you think the cornerback room is fine going into the first game against the Chicago Bears?
No, it's not fine. It's only got four of them, right? Yeah, and I believe that they're going back to get another one, and I believe that that other one, right? I keep hearing the name, and it makes sense. He's 35 years old, so going to get Gilmore back with this up front that we have makes sense. He knows the system, right? So you're going to get a veteran that understands the system. Your 1, 2, and 3 are already there. he can inject himself and be your fourth cornerback, right?
Yeah,
And then you got 5 corners back there. So your 1, 2, 3 with Okuda, Rogers and Murphy, they're your top 3, right? But this is a veteran that's coming in there that's been through it, understands B flow offense, right? And it can come in and inject in. Before I even want to touch there, I want to take a step back as you were talking about the inside linebackers, right?
yeah,
Kobe
yeah,
King, right? And what Kobe King reminds me of is like B-Flow always talks about how this defense he is and you take ownership of it. And there's a lot of communication, like it's high communication in it, right? And
yep,
I
yep.
think it's a bigger where they just told him like pin those ears down and go get after it, right? When he was at Penn State, right? And I feel like Kobe King is going to have that same adjustment that Dallas Turner had to have, right? Where it's not just pin the ears and go after it, right? You got to
Yeah,
play a little
yep.
bit smarter within this concept of the defense. I think he's going to have that type of growth that he's going to have to gain as well. And I think it will come just because he's a smart guy and he's a phenomenal athlete. So I believe he'll pick it up, but he's not one of them. Like sometimes guys have those instant guys that come in, and this may
Right.
not be a defense for instant when it comes to the linebackers. Guys got to drop back, right? Up front, that might be different, right? At the tackles, nose tackles, right? But I believe when edge rushers, linebackers, D backs, you got to be a little bit different, and you gotta really learn how to read everything that's going on and be able to adjust to it. So I think he will. It's like Dallas Turner. He's got. I just feel like once he goes through the process and gets reps and a year under his belt, he'll see things more clear.
Yeah, and he's stepping into, again, calculus or trigonometry, whatever you want to call B-Flow's defense. This is not the easiest scheme to learn. I mean, it's a lot of read and react and being on the same page, just basically knowing your playbook and knowing your scheme. It is not easy. And I think part of that was why Dallas Turner didn't get a whole lot of run last year. Number one, he was playing behind Van Ginkel and Grenard. I mean, those are two all NFL players last year. But then at the same time, man, B-Flow's playbook is not easy from everything that I've heard. But once you get it under your belt and understand it, this is why I think Dallas Turner is going to flourish this year. I agree 1000% with what you said in terms of Kobe King. Once he gets it, where things become instinctual, he is definitely going to be all right. So I'm not worried about Kobe King. I think a strong part of this team right now, Pat, is our safety room. Harry the Hitman coming back was huge. I can't imagine this team being without him this year. You had an opportunity a couple years ago to talk to Harry the Hitman, and he was like, "Man, I wish I had B Flow's defense the previous year when the Minnesota Vikings made the playoffs with Kirk Cousins." Um, I think that probably was a missed opportunity for the Vikings not having B Flow on that squad. Then you got Josh Metellus, you got Theo Jackson, Jay Word, and Tavares Thomas. That's pretty good safety room, man.
I think the safety room is way better than the cornerback room, like in my opinion, right? I think it's a phenomenal safety room, and I believe there's a lot of versatility on that safety room. Like I think he is super big on his safeties. He's big on his edge rushers. He's big on up front. I think the least about that gets it. He's just looking for certain type of corners, and but he believes in his corners. But I think the strength still lies with the front seven and those safeties. And that safety room is phenomenal. They don't have to go get a safety at all, right? Adding to the cornerback room, yes, but those safeties are phenomenal, but they are versatile as well, right? They can come up, they can get back, they can cover in space back there. So I think you're going to see 3 corners on that field more than you're going to see 3 cornerbacks. I mean, 3 safeties on the field more than you'll see 3 cornerbacks. That's what I believe.
Yep, same here, man. Same here, and I think that safety room is a big part of what B Flow wants to do. Like you said, he's always playing those three safety looks. So I think for this defense to be able to flourish and for it to be what B Flow wants it to be, I think that room has to be strong. Pat, here's what I want to talk to you about, man, because I talk to a lot of people about the Vikings, and every now and then it's starting to dissipate somewhat. But every now and then, man, when the subject comes up about Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, what do people bring up? Everybody brings up the 2022 draft. I even made a pod about it that probably by next year, there won't be anybody left from that draft. Naylor, this is a contract year for him. I don't foresee the Minnesota Vikings bringing him back unless he just has a year that's just out of this world. Even then, I think he becomes way too expensive for the Minnesota Vikings. And then you got Ty Chandler. I didn't expect for him to make the team this year, but I don't know if he's going to be around next year. So, for all intents and purposes, man, that 2022 draft will be gone by next year. But here's the deal, Pat. Look at
Go ahead, say it, Coach.
Oh my gosh, man. This dude, look at his free agency class just last year. I just want to take these two. Last year's free agency class, stellar, right? I don't think anybody will argue that. Could you argue that?
No, not
Okay.
even
Now,
14 and 3 team.
okay.
How could you
Yep.
argue?
Yep. Then, I mean, he brought in Sam Darnold off the scrap heap, and he and KOC made him be put in the conversation for MVP last year. Then on top of that, you have a free agency class like you had this year. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, right? You would have to argue that this free agency class is just as good or close as the free agency class or better than last year, right? Now, on top of that, here's the cherry on top of the sundae.
This is Coach, what you about to say, and I'm not gonna say it, I'm listening. This is the cherry on top of it. What I know where you're going, but this is the cherry on top of that. Go ahead, Coach.
Seven Patrick Buchanan UDFAs. Max Brosmer, Joe Huber, Ben Urasek, Miles Price, Elijah Williams, Austin Keith. Pat, what he's doing outside of the draft, I've been watching football for a long time, Pat. I've been watching it for a long time. I have never seen from any team in the league, people out there that are listening to Unconventional Playbook right now, if you can look at a franchise and find me 2 back-to-back free agency class, put it in the comments. Put it in the comments. Let us know, because maybe we're missing something. Then on top of that, you find your future franchise quarterback. And I know the verdict is still out on J.J. McCarthy, but we will see. But to have the UDFAs that he has brought in, 7 made this team this year, you can argue that it is one of the best, most impressive, undrafted classes in team history. Tell me if I'm wrong, Mr. Patrick Buchanan. Tell me if I'm wrong.
See, that was the cherry that I know you was going to, right? And that is not too many teams can say that, right?
No.
And the thing about that I want to say about it, like I think is phenomenal that they just go and find them, right? Like I told you, I was talking to the assistant GM Ryan, when we were out there camping. He his great example is that you find those bright things because they're not at those big universities and they're in these small ponds, but they have that talent as the same that are in the big pond, and just to be able to go out and find them and get them, man. This isn't. Here's the thing. This is like the 7 that is big,
Right.
but it's not his first.
No.
Right. It's not the first of the undrafted free agents. Like, that has been a trend. Like, even from his misses in the draft, he's not missing an undrafted free agent, right? I mean, it is, I mean, he got an extension for a reason, Coach. I mean, the man got an extension for a reason. Like, he is his numbers guy that got it figured out, and there's finding those talent in other places to be able to bring in here and to keep us youthful and not so old in the teeth, but still have veterans to help lead. I just think that what he does in the offseason, right? And number one, he talks about is that first draft was a learning draft, right? His first ever pick was Lewis Seen. That man ain't on no team right now, right? It's a learning, right? I believe in that draft he traded back. We could have had Jamison Williams, and we gave that draft to Detroit, and we moved back, if I'm not mistaken, right? I think that's what happened in that draft. And we took Lewis Seen, he broke his leg, whatever. He never panned out, right? Um, but since then, his draft picks have been panning out, and his undrafted and his free agents panning out, putting us in the position of where we are right now. Spellman was doing a good. Spellman was a better drafter than him, right? Spellman would hawk picks and get people here and there.
Yeah, Spellman just couldn't find a quarterback.
Yeah, he couldn't find a quarterback, but I don't think that he was hitting free agency like this.
No.
Right? I don't think he was hitting undrafted free agents like this. I think he did a great job of getting us multiple picks. Like we 10 picks a year. His maneuver in the draft was fantastic of how he did things and getting us players. But those players fit that regime and was fine. But I just think this is just very unique of how he's doing it and how they're doing it. And in the same sense, it's cheap. Like, it's not that expensive, right? It's not that expensive in the way that they're doing it, and it keeps that window that they want. They have a window, and they're trying to do it within that window. All they need is J.J. McCarthy to hit, and that window, hopefully it appears, because everyone tries to build that window, and here's our window time right now.
Yeah. You can smell it, man. You can smell, and I've said it. This is why I stand firm on 10 toes when I tell everybody within the next 3 years, the Minnesota Vikings are going to win the Super Bowl. What you just said, though, is key. J.J. McCarthy has to hit. J.J. McCarthy, and Pat, it doesn't even have to be a home run like a Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady. He just has to be, I think, a little bit above average, be a top 10 quarterback in the league at some point, and the Minnesota Vikings are going to the Super Bowl. What a lot of people don't realize, and I'm not taking any credit away from Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, because I think he is a huge part of being able to get those UDFAs. But I also think a big part of this is the culture of the Minnesota Vikings. You have spoke on it numerous times on the show about the culture. Like, these UDFAs, people don't realize these guys can go and sign anywhere. But for some reason, they're gravitating towards Eagan. They're gravitating towards Eagan, Minnesota, and it's the facilities, it's the ownership, it's the culture, it's the GM, it's the team. If people on the outside can't look at that and see what's going on in Eagan, Minnesota, they just don't know football, man. And that's the special thing about this Minnesota Vikings team.
Oh, for sure. And let me tell you, just because I work in Eagan, the water tastes different too in Eagan. Listen, man, and you're right. Culture, right? Is what you build and what you establish, and
Yeah.
throughout that building, and throughout the organization, people come in and visit, right? The professionals, the sports, and they just, you got, and not even like you just talking about all that culture, but what even makes that culture is you got one of the top medical, right? You got one of the top facilities, right? You got a top nutrition, right? So you got those things to add on it that people enjoy as well. And you have a great thing going right now, and they built it up that way. So kudos to them, and kudos for the hires, in 2022 that we had, right? The KOC and
Yeah.
the Kwasis. Fantastic hires. Phenomenal 2023 B-Flow hire, right? Fantastic hires, right? Josh McCown, second year, that's fantastic hire, right?
Yeah.
To
Big
help
time.
with the quarterback. So I
Keenan
just think,
McCardell.
yep, fantastic hire, right? Wes Phillips, all the way down, right? All of those guys, right? I think they're all fantastic hires, and they're consistent. When you listen to them talk, when you listen to the players, don't it, you be like, damn, that sound like the coaches. And these are grown men who can go veer off and say what they want to say, but they sound like the coaches who the coaches are consistent. They sound like them. That is part of what makes it them believers in what they're doing. Like that right there, that's hard to get, especially when these young guys are coming out of the you know, self social media, whatever type of era that they grow up in doing self promotion, where it's a team promotion. You know what I mean? Um, I think we became one of the first teams that, like, to people started copying our defense last year when we were getting our celebration. They were like, "Oh, they keep coming." Like, that was us. That was us doing that, right? And brought that, and there's going to be a lot more of that because Brian Murphy's going to lead the way with that. He's going to lead the way with them celebrations, but that's just part of culture, where that is hitting your sports centers and first takes and get ups, right? And I think that's just going to lead us and those group of guys back there on that DN.
Man, lots of great moves. We're very fortunate to have an organization like the Minnesota Vikings. A lot of people that know my background knew that I grew up in Cleveland. You look at the Cleveland Browns organization and what's going on there in terms of that debacle, being led by Kevin Stefanski and their GM Barry. I mean, man, that organization is just on a different planet when it comes to making great football moves and having a culture there that will benefit their players and something that the fans can enjoy. It's been that way for a long time in Cleveland. So being able to look over the fence at that and see where we are in terms of the Minnesota Vikings, man, we are truly lucky to have the leadership in place that we have. So what does all this mean, man? The biggest theme I think the Vikings have placed a massive value on their UDFAs. I think they brought in a veteran quarterback to help support JJ McCarthy in terms of Carson Wentz. And now they got Brosmer, who's a young guy that really can develop into. A lot of people think that, he can develop into a number two, but you never know how this stuff goes, man. Brosmer may be a number one in waiting, not with the Minnesota Vikings, because I think JJ McCarthy is going to hit, but maybe for another team. You just don't know. Addison suspended and Naylor injured. The wide receiver room lacks proven depth, but I think the Minnesota Vikings are going to go out and find a resolution to that problem. I don't know what it's going to be. I wouldn't mind seeing Adam Thielen come back, but the greedy side of me hopes they go out and get Jacoby Meyer. I would love to see that. The linebackers and the D line has synergy. The secondary maybe got to add a little bit depth there. So now, Pat, it's about waiver grabs, practice squad adjustments, possible wide receiver additions, and roster changes for week one. Do you see anything big or surprising happening before week one, man?
Um, I wouldn't be shocked if they like me is the Adam. I don't know if that's gonna happen. I wouldn't
Yeah,
be shocked if they splashed. Like, I would not be shocked if they splashed for that wide receiver, but I wouldn't be shocked if they went a different router's way. But it wouldn't shock me with a splash because of how he does things. Now, what is he willing to give up? What are teams willing to give up? I wouldn't be shocked if he makes a splash at wide receiver. I don't think the splash is coming anywhere else because I
yeah,
believe that we have our two starting corners, so you're not going to interrupt that, right? I believe
yeah,
the splash is coming at wide receiver. What is it going to be? That's the only splash. The one thing that I want to say, because I think it's complete package and it all falls on JJ McCarthy, right? It's complete even without Addison gone. If the first 3 weeks don't go that well, JJ McCarthy had a very good learning curve. Addison comes back, which we all know. We saw it through camp, right?
yeah,
For a full
yeah,
month, they have a connection with each other, right? So that's not going to go away because after week one, he gets to be back with the team in practice, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
people don't realize that, like, he ain't come back. He comes back after week one in practices. So That's great there. But something I want to say, like, for like, if people have this thought of like, man, if he was hitting drafts right, he wouldn't get all these undrafted free agents. Like, for the people that don't understand sports and stuff, like, opportunities knock at certain areas, and there are a lot of Hall of Famers that one of ours, I'm pretty sure, John Randall, did they mess up? Right? Everyone messed up in
That's
that,
a good
right?
point.
So
Yep.
there's unique opportunities. There's these people that create these numbers of where people are supposed to be drafted, and then you're following that, right? But there are these guys you can't rank every single guy. And that's why when you get on a playing surface, everyone has the same opportunity. What do you do with it? Some people take it for granted. Some people look as this is my opportunity. They've been taught certain ways and things happen. That is life. That is what we all live through. And that thing happens with these professionals just as well, right? Because there's so many opportunities, right? You're talking about a 53-man roster. You're not talking about a soccer team or a baseball team or a basketball team. They don't have that big of a roster. The opportunity in a football to make a team or a practice squad, like, that is more opportunity than you think you can have. So uh he does right, and at least he's finding those guys that want those opportunities and are taking advantage of it.
Yeah. One quick question, Pat, before we get out of here. Obviously, KJ Osborne was released from the Commanders today. Would you take a flyer on KJ Osborne, or have you been there, done that?
I'm not saying I wouldn't. Like, he was a okay number 3. I mean, I'm not. Here's the thing: they got to bring somebody in, right? If they can't splash, they can't get Adam. Is Trey Palmer the type of guy you want to look at? KJ. I mean, I guess KJ knows the playbook. So I mean, if that's what we're looking for, to save, like, the safe route, like that I said early, okay, but that doesn't woo me, right? It doesn't, like, I don't, because here's the thing, it's only for 3 games. So basically I'm looking at a 3-game, get us through the first 3 games. I'm not looking for a season because, like I said, I honestly believe Miles Price is about to shock everyone, right? And I think Mr. Felton is going to come on as well because he has some things, unique things that none of our wide receivers can do just off a bubble screen, right? To create and just stretch field. And I think he has a very unique talent, right? So, I mean, whatever KJ Osborne, yeah, it's gonna be cheap, minimum contract, 3 games. He's back. If he's playing real great, good. You found your way in it. That's how I look at it, right? Whoever it is, you're trying to find more sure hands, get that 5th wide receiver or 6th wide receiver right now in there until he comes back, and then somebody else will get pushed to practice or cut wave. So, I don't. KJ just doesn't do like, it doesn't do
He
it
doesn't
for
move the
me.
needle.
It
Yeah, see, I
doesn't do
want
it, like, I'm not jumping
yeah.
off it doesn't do it for me at all.
I want no parts of KJ Osborne. And I mean, KJ was good here. I just don't think he moves the needle enough for me. And for me, I don't see it as 3 games. Like, I want it for the year. Like, because you're gonna have attrition, man, on that wide receiver room. Addison's gonna probably get banged up. JJ has had hamstring problems. TJ Hawkinson has had trouble staying healthy. You need a bona fide guy in there at least for the year. You don't need a stopgap guy. And this is why I don't prioritize KJ Osborne. You need Jacoby Meyer. Go out and get him Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. Make it happen, man. You bring that guy in, that offense becomes electric. They just absolutely become electric, man.
Let me
Well,
ask you this question. Carolina's got a young they cut Hunter Renfro. You want Hunter Renfro?
Hunter Renfro is not bad, just doesn't move the needle for me.
See?
That doesn't move the needle. Like for me, I'm probably looking at this the wrong way, but there are some what if aspects to this as well, Pat. Again, I just keep asking, man. The Vikings, for some reason, They are hoarding all of this money. Like Kwesi and the fellas got to be thinking of something like KJ Osborne not going to suck up $30 million. Like,
Yeah.
what are they going to do with that money? I believe Kwesi is sitting back and he's a patient man. He's waiting for the right home run. He's waiting. It wasn't Aaron Rodgers. It wasn't Jalen Ramsey. It was none of those guys. But I think he's hoarding this money for a reason because it gives him flexibility. I know a lot of people are talking about, well, maybe they're going to roll it over into the cap next year because they're going to be over. I don't see that either. They are going to make a splash, Pat. I can feel it, man. I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it. I don't know where it's coming from, but I think they're going to spend that money this year. I just don't know how. I just don't know when.
I listen. I'm not mad at him if he does, right? I'm not
Listen,
mad at him.
listen, Pat. Here's what I want you to do for Unconventional Playbook, man. Walk over there tomorrow. When you go to work, walk over there tomorrow. Ask to talk to Kwesi and be like, Kwesi, what you going to do with that $30 million, man? That's what you got to do for us, Pat.
I could see Kwesi's response. Very intelligent, long spoken, super big words that he's gonna use. And be like, and the moral to the story is, he'd be like, "Won't you just sit back and whatever?" He might say, "What have I been doing this whole time?" Right? Who
Yeah.
knows what the man might say? But it'll be very intellectually smart or whatever. I have nothing to say to him because I trust in him. The organization's in the right place. They got through this, and I don't know. Maybe we'll wake up and a move's been made. I do believe if the move is made, by Thursday, right? It is tomorrow, I think, is the move day. So,
Yeah.
I think tomorrow's the move day without a doubt.
Well, for the UP Nation out there, see, y'all don't realize my man, Mr. Patrick Buchanan, he's had conversations with the assistant GM. I saw it with my own eyes at Minnesota Vikings practice. So it's not like this man can't have a conversation with people. I just expect this from Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. And I'm gonna take a phrase from my guy KOC. Kwesi, just be at your best when your best is required. Go out and get Jacoby Meyer. Let's go. Let's go. Man, this has been Unconventional Playbook. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Pat, man, thanks for coming on the show. We sent out the Pat signal so you can come on here and dissect this 53-man roster. So I really appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate being out here. I'm excited what a roster is, but that is not week one roster. That I do know. That's not the week one roster.
No.
Right?
No, there's gonna be some
You're
change.
probably going to see 2 to 3 moves that are about to happen. Not talking practice squad. There are going to be 2 to 3 moves that are going to happen more. Like you've already seen it. I think what in the last week we've made how many trades, or
Man.
signings,
Yeah.
addings, right? 3 different moves. So the roster's not done yet. I think there's 2 to 3 more moves that are going to be made before week 1. Well, essentially this week. So I'll say as they're going to be starting gearing up for Chicago next week.
Yeah. Kwesi is accumulating draft picks and he's accumulating money. Big things, big things are ahead for the Minnesota Vikings. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Help us stay in the algorithm. You guys have been fantastic. Put your thoughts in the comments. Are you happy with the 53? What wide receiver would you bring in? Would you look into the secondary if it's a secondary? What corner would you bring in? I think everybody agrees that safety room is taut right now. So who would you bring in at cornerback? Did the Minnesota Vikings make a mistake in terms of cutting Gabriel Murphy? Put all your stuff in the comments. I'm not afraid to talk to you. We'll hit you back and talk to you. But again, please hit that like and subscribe button. Pat, thanks again. This has been Unconventional Playbook. We will make sure to see you when we see you. Skol.